Hello, Squirrel Tribe. So it's Wednesday. It is hump day. My dudes, we have a lot to talk about today. The first being how many organizations that are government run that are sending money to the Kamala Harris campaign. And you have to ask yourself, is that kind of like a conflict of interest there when our government is giving money to the Harris-Walz campaign? So according to this, these government agencies have donated to Kamala's campaign. Number one, the U.S. Department of Defense has donated $213,000. You have the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services at $263,000. The U.S. Department of State, $199,000. The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, $217,000. I need everybody to keep in mind that it's our tax dollars that fund these departments. So these departments are, in essence, taking our money and giving it to Kamala Harris. They didn't ask if I wanted to donate to Kamala Harris. Did they ask you if you wanted to donate to Kamala Harris? Did the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reach out and say, ma'am, sir, we're going to give money to Kamala. Are you cool with that? Because technically it's the money that you gave us in your taxes. I didn't get the phone call, the email, the carrier pigeon, the nothing. Nothing came my way about giving Kamala Harris money. I have an issue with this, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I have grievances. I think of that Seinfeld episode. What is it? Festivus for the Rest of Us, where they go around and air out whatever grievances they have with everybody. This is my grievance right here with the U.S. Department of whatever that's giving our tax money to Kamala Harris. Okay, let's move on. I just wanted to give that to your attention in case you guys weren't aware, because I think it's kind of a big deal. Now, here's some huge news that you guys may want to know. Kamala Harris has agreed to do a sit-down interview with CNN's, and I don't know if her name is Dana Bash or Dana Bash because it changes every so often. It's kind of like Kamala changes every so often. Harris, though, will have Tim Walz with her during the interview. I guess she needs him to hold her hand. My assumption is that when they ask a question, she's going to let Coach Tim take the reins, and then she'll just giggle along with whatever he says and then maybe interject every once in a while with something that's completely off topic and has absolutely nothing to do with the question. That's kind of what she's known to do. Now, this announcement comes after Harris has avoided the media for over a month. The woman is on the Democrat presidential ballot to become president of the United States, and she has avoided the media for the last month. You can't make this up. They think that this person is worthy of running our country, yet can't even take the time to have an interview or answer questions or do anything at all. The interview will air at 9 p.m. Eastern time this Thursday. That's tomorrow. That will be August 29th. It will air then. It needs to be said that it is a pre-recorded interview so they can edit the crap out of it. It's not live, none of that stuff. She will have Tim Walz with her. She's probably going to have all the questions ahead of time from Dana Bash, whatever, from CNN themselves. And she's going to get to have somebody write up her little script for her for whatever she does say. So it's not even a real interview. It's still more of the blowing smoke up our asses, the smoke and mirrors that they've been giving us with Kamala Harris since day one. It's the same exact thing. Nothing has changed. If they said it was live with Lester Holt, all right, cool. Biden did it. Why can't she do it? Chicken shit. That's why. That's what we're naming her. Chicken shit Harris. The interview with Bash comes after the CNN host sat down with JD Vance, who called Kamala out for being afraid of the media. I want you guys to hear it because I know a lot of you have probably already heard this, but it's very true. This is a couple minutes long, so let's enjoy a little JD Vance to start our morning. Maybe. Because service over here is janky. Hello? Well, at least it's a good, pause spot.
Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain, Dana. You've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's middle facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. We should be talking about public policies that matter. How are we going to lower inflation? How are we going to reduce the cost of food and housing? How are we going to close down that southern border? We've talked so little about that. We've talked a lot more about a sarcastic remark I made 3 years ago. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care. Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is. But I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of. Dan, I criticize people for not having kids. I criticize people for being anti-child. And I do think that Kamala Harris has made some bizarre statements. She has said things like it's reasonable not to have children over climate change. I think it's the exact opposite message we should be sending to our young families. I want to expand the child tax credit. I want to stop those surprise medical bills. I want to make housing more affordable so that if you have a young family, you can actually afford to put them in a home. And I think that it is unfortunate that so much of our public leadership has become anti-family. One final point on this, Dana. If you go back to the COVID era, one thing that really frustrated me, please.
Are you going to debate Tim Walz?
Of course. I want to debate Tim Walz. I think it's important.
And I want to watch that.
It goes to a very fundamental difference between the Trump-Vance ticket and our opposition. We believe in talking to the media. We believe in answering questions. We believe in debating. I think it's really important. I mean, look, I'm asking the American people to make me their vice president. It's really important to stand before the American people to make that case, and I'm going to keep on doing it in whatever form I get the opportunity. So
we look forward to it. Thank you.
First off, huge non-fan of Dana Bash. I don't like the way her face, I don't like her face. We're just going to go with that. I don't like her face. I feel like she looks at JD Vance like she has contempt for him. And I really just want to wipe that friggin' look off of her face. I can't stand it. She interjects with him. She breaks into what he's saying and she's, whatever. I want to see if she treats Kamala Harris the same way she just treated JD Vance. And I can guarantee you she won't, because girl power or whatever bullshit reason, she's going to be completely different with Kamala Harris than she was with JD Vance. I'm going to bet money on it. Not really. I don't have that much money, but I'm going to bet something on it. I don't know what, but I feel like it's going to be a completely different scenario once she gets Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in front of her. But again, also, it's going to be pre-recorded, edited, and scripted and everything else. So it's not going to be real. It doesn't really count, but it's the best that we can get right now from them. So you got to take what you can get, right? Now, listen, we talked about RFK Jr. numerous times, right? And how he has backed Donald Trump along with Tulsi Gabbard. They have both backed Donald Trump. They have taken the stage at different rallies and said, I, RFK Jr. or I, Tulsi Gabbard, stand with Donald Trump and, backing him for whatever. RFK Jr. has been trying to take his name off of ballots. I believe Pennsylvania, Arizona, can't remember where else, trying to take his name off of the ballots because he's no longer considering himself as running for president in those places. And now we have here, Michigan has done this already, but now Wisconsin Elections Commission just voted 5-1 to keep RFK Jr.'s name on the ballot against his will. Out of nowhere, Democrats have frozen all efforts to remove RFK Jr.'s name from the ballot. However, they still want him removed from the ballot in deep blue states. This only conclusion here is that Democrat officials in every state are conspiring to steal the 2024 election. So you have RFK Jr. here, like, what the, right? Because they want to keep him on the ballot in deep blue states, but they want to take him off the ballot where it could help Donald Trump by having him on there. And sorry, I'm backwards. They want to keep him on the ballot where it could help Donald Trump by taking him off the ballot. Hello, too early for this. Haven't had coffee or breakfast yet. But what's interesting to me is that these same people that refused to take his name off the ballot had no problem taking Joe Biden's name off the ballot when he wanted to drop out. Why is that? Why is this a double standard? Why can you willingly take Joe Biden off and put Kamala Harris on, but you won't willingly take RFK Jr. off when he has signed the legal paperwork to have his name removed from these ballots? You also won't put him on certain ballots in certain states, even though he went through court cases and everything, $10 million worth to get his name on ballots. This is, again, the Democrats are doing the most underhanded, shady, mob-style BS possible, and all it screams to me and anybody else with a brain cell or two bouncing around in their head is that they are trying to take something that doesn't belong to them. We have the whole thing with Trump. People want to say too big to rig, yet the Democrats are trying hard as hell to do it. And every single day that something new comes out, my brain is like, where's your democracy? You guys are all about democracy, but there's nothing here that you're doing that speaks democracy to me. We are a republic though, so I just do want to point that part out. But at the end of the day, they are going against the wishes of the people, going against the wishes of the presidential nominees or possibilities, and doing everything they can to ensure that nothing is done fairly. And that's janky and shady in my personal opinion. And I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's very important. Now, this has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but everything to do with everything. The Supreme Court struck down parts of Title IX where it says, boys can't be in girls' bathrooms and girls' sports and whatever else in schools. But I don't know if it was across the country. I think it was just in certain states, because here you have, this just happened, literally just happened a couple days ago. And I want you to see this. This is McKinney, Texas. A motion was made by a board member named Chad Green, to not allow males to enter girls' locker rooms or to compete in girls' sports. The motion did not receive a second, and thus it failed. No other board member would stand up for girls' rights. Homeschool your children. And I am looking, and there are 4 women on this board, and not a single one of them seconded the motion that boys should not be in girls' locker rooms, that boys should not be in girls' sports. What is wrong with these women? What is wrong with these other men on the board that they think it's okay in schools for boys to be in the girls' bathroom and boys to be on the girls' sports teams? There is nothing okay with that. And the only person here that had a set of balls at all is Chad Green. I want you guys to hear this because, again, this is one of those things where if you didn't see it happening, you wouldn't know it's happening. Maybe, you're not going to your child's school board meetings, or you don't have a kid in school, so it doesn't occur to you of what's going on. But this is real. If I had been in the audience here, if I had been a parent at that school, I would have lost my ever-loving mind and immediately started yelling at these women like, how do you not care about the girls, the girls in this school? You as yourself are a girl, put yourself in their position. Would you have wanted some 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old boy in the locker room with you at the same age? No, not at all. Listen.
We support our young ladies and not allow any boys in their locker rooms or on their sports team.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, as Trustee Green has stated. Do we have a second? And do you want, just to clarify again, I know for Ms. Pierce, want to make sure the motion?
That we support our young ladies and not allow boys, that's young men that have DNA that is boy DNA, not be allowed in the locker rooms or on the sports team competing against young ladies.
So that's the motion. And do we have a second to that motion?
Look at these spineless sacks of shit. Like, seriously?
No second. We'll go ahead and let it die. All right, we'll move it on to our last speaker.
How can you sit there and just be okay with it? It does not make sense to me. It is absolutely, it's evil. At the end of the day, it's evil. And it is too early to piss myself off this much. So we're just going to move on to the next one because I don't understand people like that. I don't understand people who are okay with any of that. Back to Kamala Harris. At least she doesn't piss me off as much as that whole topic. Although, bless her heart. She doesn't piss me off. I just highly dislike her because I think she's full of crap. But those people were sacks of shit. So anyway, Kamala's campaign, surprisingly not, just did a policy walk back for the ages. Her staffers now claim that she doesn't support electric vehicle mandates. But the Biden EPA last March implemented new regulations to convert half of all new car sales to electric by 2030. They're now claiming she doesn't support something the government she works for is currently doing. Y'all, I know it's easy for people to say, well, she's the vice president, he's the president, it's really up to Biden, she's just along for the ride. That's kind of not how it works. Like, she does have a say in things. It is a joint kind of thing. Yes, he has the final say in whatever else. But if she was against anything, she would have said it at some point in time, as opposed to now trying to use it for her campaign because she knows that the majority of people are not for it. But we also know that the second she gets into a state or a city or an area where everybody's for electric cars, she's going to flip-flop again because it's what she does. Flip-flop Harris is her name. This is interesting. This is from Harris Walz, right? Hi all. This afternoon, the most unpopular VP in history, JD Vance, is set to deliver remarks on the economy, inflation, and manufacturing in Big Rapids, Michigan. He will undoubtedly lie, gaslight, and try to run away from the truth about what a Trump-Vance administration would do to the middle class. Below is a brief fact check of Trump and Vance's same tired lies about the economy. Be on the lookout for their greatest hits in Big Rapids. As always, if you need anything, please reach out. We would be happy to answer any questions about Trump and Vance's long history of abandoning workers to line the pockets of their ultra-wealthy buddies from Silicon Valley to Mar-a-Lago. Thanks, Amar. Amar sounds like a dumbass. Claim, this is the claim, Vice President Harris wants to force every American to own an electric vehicle. And this is, according to them, the fact. Vice President Harris does not support an electric vehicle mandate. Donald Trump railed against the Inflation Reduction Act while the Biden-Harris administration oversaw the creation of tens of thousands of new clean energy jobs in Michigan and provided groundbreaking subsidies and tax credits for electric vehicles. So she did do all the things to make it so that people would want electric vehicles, or she didn't. Like, your fact check kind of coincides with their claim as opposed to debunking it, in my opinion here. Biden admin reportedly doubling down on gas car crackdown. This was February 2024. Tinkering with the near-term speed of implementation doesn't change the endgame, which is banning new gas-powered cars, group tells Fox News Digital. Now, let's also keep in mind that Kamala Harris has been a massive fan of the new Green Deal. She has talked about it numerous times. She's been a vocal supporter of EVs and the new Green Deal. I'm just saying, there's been significant investment in EV infrastructure from the Biden-Harris administration, and she is now trying to walk back on that because it got not the best reviews for Biden and Harris. So now she's like, oh, no, I can't have anything to do with that. The woman literally has no thoughts of her own and nothing that she will stand by and stick to. No cojones, no gumption, no nothing. She is nothingless Harris. That's another one. Look, this is my favorite. She's almost reached her final form. She is doing everything she can. I have to admit, she looks better like that. Maybe she should attempt it, because that's definitely better than what she's got going on now. But she is attempting to be everything that Donald Trump is, and it's sickening. At the end of the day, it's sickening. At the beginning of the day, too. It's really gross because she can't do anything on her own, and I don't understand how she has made it this far in life. Well, I mean, I do understand how she's made it this far in life. It's called knee pad Harris for a reason. But anyway, so this here is another... There's 2 minutes long. I want you guys to watch this. This is with Tucker Carlson, and it's between him and RFK Jr. And I want to just point out a couple things. This is from Charlie Kirk over on X, and these are the things he's pointed out. Number one, RFK Jr. says he would say yes if asked to run the CIA, but the Senate would never confirm him because the CIA is protected by powerful committees that are read in. 3, he says he'd be very, very dangerous to these committees. 4, Mike Pompeo begged President Trump not to release the JFK files because it would be a catastrophe. For who? All of those implicated are dead, so by process of elimination, it would be a catastrophe for the CIA, which means the CIA is very likely implicated in murdering a U.S. president. So let's just take a quick little listen here to RFK Jr. and Tucker Carlson, because I'm generally a fan of when Tucker does these things, because he has a lot of good things to say and uncovers a lot of stuff. So
the CIA, I mean, a lot of roads lead back, unfortunately, to our most powerful intelligence agency. If you were asked, would you run it? Would you become CIA director if you were asked?
I would never get, yes, I would, but I would never get Senate confirmation. As you know, the intelligence agency are protected by by very, very powerful committees in the Senate and in the House that are all read into the project. And the people who serve on those committees are people who would, they would not, they're safeguarding that directorship. And I would be very, very dangerous for those committees. So I don't think that.
And yet in his, in your joint appearance on Friday, President Trump introduced you by saying that he plans to, if elected, establish a commission to declassify the remaining documents around your uncle's murder in 1963.
Yeah.
And I think everyone at this point knows the truth, which is the CIA is implicated in that. Those documents protect CIA, maybe among others.
Well, whether they do or not, it's odd that they've not allowed them to be released. Cause
what could possibly be the explanation?
More than 60 years after my uncle's death, almost 65 years. No, 62 years after his death. And there's none of the people who were implicated in that crime are alive now.
Yes.
The last ones have died off in the last year or two. And so it clearly is to protect the institution.
Yes.
And that's wrong. It's just wrong. And it's wrong for a Democrat, and it's wrong for Republicans.
It's just interesting, though, that a bipartisan list of presidents, these 6 decades, have kept those files classified.
Well, you and I have both. I was astonished that Trump didn't declassify them because he promised it during the campaign.
That was Mike Pompeo who did that.
Yeah, and that I talked to President Trump for the first time about that this week. And
what did he say?
He said that Mike Pompeo begged him to, and I don't think I'm telling tales out of school here.
No,
I think he told the same thing to you.
That's true.
But he said Mike Pompeo called him and said this would be a catastrophe to release these. You need to not do it. And then,
I want to say again, I think Mike Pompeo is a criminal. So that's my view. He's threatened to sue me for saying that, but I hope he will, because it's true.
Bring it.
But that kind of tells the whole story right there, right? That the CIA is...
Well, yeah, so that's the
Why
thing.
would the CIA be trying to keep these files classified if they had nothing to do with the murder?
Very good question you've asked there, Mr. Carlson, Mr. Tucker. So, I thought that was interesting and something that we should know, that although RFK Jr. would love to be part of the CIA, to head the CIA and have something to say about what they do and do not do, it would not happen because it would be catastrophic to themselves, and self-preservation is key. And I think that is something to keep an eye on over the next, once Trump's in office, to keep an eye on how that plays out, what he does there and how he tries to make that work. And let me see if this is the right one. I have one more for you guys. Yeah, I have one more for you because Trump has just said what we all want to hear, and I want you guys to hear this as well. This just happened yesterday. President Trump says he will immediately sign an executive order to stop funding migrant shelters and will instead divert the funds to assisting homeless veterans. This is great. Why aren't we doing this already? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, you sacks of shit. These American heroes should come first. So I agree 100%. I have never been okay with the fact that our money, our taxpayer dollars, have gone to everybody but our American citizens. Yes, I do believe in helping others out, but you have to take care of home first. And home is you and I, American citizens, not Ukraine, not illegal immigrants crossing the border and costing us money. That's not home. Your house has to be in order before you can help your neighbors. And that's for some reason, the Biden-Harris administration seems to have not just forgotten it, but thrown that completely out the window. Let's see if this will work. Maybe if I hit the button, it would be helpful. Hello button? There we go. It would also help if I turned up the volume.
Stop every penny that Harris has been spending on the shelter and transport of illegal aliens, and we will redirect that money to provide shelter and treatment for homeless American veterans.
There you go. There you go. The men and women who risk their lives for us deserve better every day.
And we will end very rapidly veterans' homelessness in America. We had it down to a level that was the lowest in a long time.
That's all I care about, helping the people of the United States more than the people of every other country. We get the least amount of help from our government. Everybody else gets the most. And I know that Donald Trump, once back in office, will change that, because Biden and Harris, they have undone so many things over the course of the last 4 years, or 3.5 years. Technically, it's not a full 4 yet. And I am looking forward to the day where those things are now undone. what is that dumb shit that Kamala says? It's the Marxist thing. What is unburdened has been, I don't even know. My brain's not dumb enough to think of how she even phrased that. So we're not even going to do it, but you guys know what I mean. Listen, there's more later. This is just a nice little start the day kind of information with, what is it called? News you can use or whatever else. Stuff I found interesting and I wanted to share with you guys. So thanks for letting me have this moment with you. I'll see you guys again later. Have a fabulous beginning to your day. I love you all. Goodbye.